And what were you doing during that time? You were raising children and being that
women were not working yet.
Right.
And well, they were very, very, very busy with school. I mean, in those days, all of the women were, the last school mothers were volunteers.
Very
and every
active.
day there was a meeting one kind or another, and it was so busy, so busy. And I know on my part, at one point, Louise was still living, I felt when the phone would ring and I would think, oh my God, that's going to be another meeting. Oh, I can't take it anymore. I thought, I have to go back to work. I can't stand this anymore. And I had gone to the university, to the employment department, to see what kind of an opening there might be for a part-time person. And didn't find one professor that was looking for somebody. He was doing a research project and he needed somebody to come in part-time and work with him on it. And I had just about taken that job. And when I got a phone call from my old boss, Myra Weisgall, and he had come to the Chicago to get what he called this fella, Charlie Feldstein, to take on the Weizmann Institute account and plan a fundraiser for it. And he wanted to know, Myra wanted to know if we'd come down and have some cocktails with Charlie Feldstein and him. They arranged for a few people to come, and we couldn't come. But then when Myra told me what it was he wanted to do, it was like a streak of lightning that came through me. And I God, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And I said to Myra, Myra, what would you think of my taking a part-time job with this if it comes through? And Myra was tickled pink because, well, he knew Charlie Feldstein to be, that his reputation was for one of the great fundraising councils in America. He wasn't sure about his Judaism and he was a little worried about whether he'd have Darrell Harris for the Weizmann name and so forth. So he thought, well, I could be that watchdog and that would just be great. Little did he realize that we also had the relationship to Charlie Feldstein because at one point Charlie was Maurice's assistant at Hello.
I didn't know that either.
And they were very good friends, very good friends. So,
so you could tell Meyer right away about his Derek Harris.
Yeah. But Charlie got on the phone the next day and he said, he'd just be tickled if that could be worked out. The only thing is that he can't take the account on yet because he didn't have personnel in his office. There were a number of projects that he was working on, and as soon as personnel would be available, and they could make plans, they had to plan, physical office space, everything. And then one day, maybe 3 weeks later, meanwhile, I had put off this job at the university that I had just about taken because I remember when Myra was calling about this and hung up and the phone rang and it was this professor at the university who wanted to know when I was coming in or something, and I was I can't take it. The call. And somehow afterward I got out of it. But then, this was maybe 3 weeks after this all transpired, I got a call from Charlie and he said, look, we have a problem here. The fellow who was chairing this big event for the orthogenic school of the university suddenly had to leave, and we're without anybody to run this event. Do you think you could arrange to come in and take over that desk? So that was in the September of '61. The reason I remember it so distinctly, was because it was before Maurice passed away. And so I started at that, and Charlie was concerned that Maurice would miss me at home for whatever my function was. So he had arranged for me to come down to the office in the morning in what was then available in Hyde Park, called the, it was a share cab. And there were 4 of us that came downtown in that share cab. Emory Cab Company. Emory, it wasn't cab company, Emory.
Limousine.
Yeah, limousine.
A livery, I think it was called.
Yeah, that's right. And then he also arranged for me to leave the office at 4:30 every day, together with these other people who had made these arrangements for themselves, in order that when Maurice came home, I would have my apron on.
Well, I think now it's really important to mention also that you really gave a lot of your time, and you had your own relationships with the students all the way through.
Yeah,
you know, and people really connected with you too. So
the only thing that matters is how we felt about each other.
I know, but I mean, you did. That's also what you did with your time.
No,
is that you
sure.
connected with students all along
I was
too.
very involved with you know. I mean,
really were.
It was already. That was the only experience I knew after I left New York. I mean, everything was yellow. So
you started with the orthogenic school,
and then
desk.
I stayed at that desk for 21 years.
61 to 81, 82?
Because after Maurice died, I went full time.
I remember.
I went full time then. And
were your assignments mostly in the Jewish world, or were your assignments
in his company,
people like the orthogenic school?
His company, no. What happened there too was that his office manager left maternity leave and didn't come back. And he had asked me to take over that, learn all the assignments at that desk. And she didn't come back, and I stayed on it. But I also stayed with my account.
Your account.
But and I used to say to Charlie, look, if you didn't pay me, I'd have to pay you, because this was the only way that I could function after Maurice died. Was to go back to a routine job where it was structured
And you were involved?
While I was downtown working, there just was no time to concentrate on my loss, and it was only after I came home, and I think the only way I could cope with it after I got home was to just push it all away. It wasn't the end. Everything would be all right in the end, and so that's the way I did with it.